Hello everyone, Freejack Prepper here. As the title of this video states, I would like to talk about the mythos behind the 72-hour Bugout Bag. By me referring to it as a mythos, in no means am I degrading the importance of having one. On the contrary, I think everyone, no matter what walk of life you come from, should have some level of preparedness in the event of an SHTF. But let's look at the Bugout Bag. Any prepper knows what the Bugout Bag is, and that's that something happens, SHTF becomes real, and you have to bug out, you have to leave. But my point of this video is not on whether you need a Bugout Bag. It is my concern about the relentless reminder that a Bugout Bag should only sustain you for 72 hours. And yes, you can only carry so much, and 3 days worth of supplies is an adequate amount if you are trying to sustain yourself in case of emergency and you have hopes that governmental or local community aid will eventually happen. A Bugout Bag also dictates that within 72 hours, you should have long since gotten to any bugout location that you have already planned for. This is true. But the true point of this video is, what do you do if 72 hours is not enough time? I know every prepper out there has probably replayed every scenario possible through their brain of what may or may not happen and how they will deal with it. And it's great that you do, because you have to plan. You have to think these things through. But the one thing I'm not seeing, and that is, what happens if you have to rely on the items in that bag for more than 72 hours? So if things are based off scenarios, let me give you one. You have a bug out location and you are heading there, and it takes you a day and a half to get there because you're moving slow, because there might be people on the streets, including vagabonds, marauders, people who are trying to get your stuff, and it takes you that extra time to get there. But what happens if you get to your bug out location and it's compromised? Perhaps it has burned down. Maybe a storm has taken out. What happens if there's other people occupying your space and it's just you and you do not have the manpower nor the firepower to confront them? So what do you do then? What happens at that crucial 72 hours that you've consumed all the food that you've had and your water that you've had, and your supplies are only generally geared for those 72 hours? Do you just give up and die? Well, I already know that the popular response to my statement would be, oh, well, the 72 hours is just a rule of thumb. You can only carry so much and you want to travel light. And yeah, it's just a guideline. But the problem is that it's stressed so much that it's almost like it's an expiration date on a food item. And we all know that most food items out there, as well as pharmaceuticals, notwithstanding baby formula and certain antibiotics and other medicines, the shelf life goes well beyond their expiration date, and you'd only be a fool to discard your items to go buy new ones simply because the expiration date has been met. Since the scenario is just an idea thought through in a storyline format, and I know we have probably all thought this through, my question is how many of you have actually considered what happens if my 72-hour bag has to last me for 144 hours? Double the amount of time. Do I have the right supplies inside so that I can actually survive out there? We all consider the what-ifs, but not every what-if can ever be thought of because it all deals with the unknown. Many people have stated, and I know many people who they have a bug-out bag at home, they have a bug-out bag in their office, and they also have a bug-out bag in their vehicle. Well, let's throw another scenario in there. Your bug-out location is roughly 5 miles away from your place of work and your home. But you go to another town. Let's say you're from central Wisconsin, you're near Oxford, and one day you have to go to Madison, Wisconsin, well over an hour away. Now your bug out location is near Oxford, just a few miles from your home, and lo and behold, the world goes crazy, the crap hits the fan, and you are stuck more than 70 miles away from your bug out location, but you want to get there. We also know that in almost any true SHTF scenario that the highways and even county roads are going to become parking lots. You may have to abandon that vehicle. You now have your bug out bag that was in your vehicle, and your only hope is to get back to your bug out location 70 miles away. It may take you a considerable amount of time, especially when you're dealing with people on the road who don't have supplies, maybe wanting to take your supplies. National Guard might have been immediately called, depending on the situation. You're trying to avoid them. You're trying to avoid going off to some FEMA camp so that you have your independence still. So it might take you more than those 3 days to get to your location. What do you have that's going to sustain you? There are no stores that are going to be open. There's going to be nobody that's willing to give up their supplies for you for free. So, how are you going to survive? So I think the mythos here is that people who are now prepping, new preppers especially, they have in their heads, I just need those 72 hours. And if you look at a lot of people's bags, they don't even have the right supplies that they need. Now, granted, you are packing up your bag per your location somewhere across the United States or in the country that you are. I mean, you will not prep for snow conditions if you are prepping in southern Texas. I mean, that's almost a given. But the big thing that I find troubling is that we are basically trapped to this ideology that we need that 72 hour. When a bug-out bag should be looked at, this may be all you have. That 72 hours can easily become 144 or 288. So the question is, have you prepared yourself and your bag to sustain you well beyond the 72 hours? I will re-stress. I know there's only a certain limitation to what any individual can carry. And if you're carrying water and ammunition, that's going to take up a lot of your space and add a lot of weight. But what I'm stressing is I think people should really take a step back at their bug-out bags and really scrutinize the items that they keep within and determine whether or not, can this bag save my life once I've run out of the 72 hours worth of supplies in here. So those are my concerns. But I would like your input, all of you, in your comments below. Just tell me what you've thought about doing once the duration has been exceeded. And any ideas that you may have for other preppers who plan for a longer term if the situation and your scenario planning has been compromised by any unforeseen variables. This is Freejack Prepper out. Be safe, live free, and God bless America. Thank you.